Morning to you, morning to all listeners. Today I'm going to speak about the rise and the fall of black supremacy. Biblically, we are going to see it according to the Bible, how black people, rise to power, and then the way they just came down, which means they fall again, you know. But they didn't rise by themselves, but they didn't also fall by themselves. So black people supremacy, they were ruling the whole world, as we read biblically, that for the first man who rise in Africa after the flood, there was the first phase of human existence, from Adam to Noah. That the first human existence, and then the second one, the second phase of human existence, that where we are living today. Soon after the flood, God raised a man in the tribe of the tribe of Cush. The name of the name was Nimrod. So Nimrod, as the Bible says, after the flood, the Bible says that he was Nimrod began to be a mighty one in the earth. But he was mighty hunter before the Lord. So which means he started, he began to become a mighty, not according to himself, not by his own power, but through the power of God, because he says here he was a mighty hunter, before the Lord, which means it's God who raised him, to come in that point. You see? So, as if you read in the Bible, Genesis 10, so you read that he went to many places, because he came from Africa. Kush is, Sudan, which means in Africa. So he went to different places to conquer. And then he built up also the cities and so on. Just like the white people who came, they came to Africa, they went to different places, they conquered, and then they built up. So the whole cities in Africa, so it was built by Europeans. So in those days, the very same thing happening again. So in those days, so Nimrod also coming from the tribe of Cush. Okay, Cush is the son of Ham, the firstborn of Ham. So he went according to God. He went and conquered, he colonized people, so on. So he was the first one to rise in power. So the black people also knew about it. So they all was repeating, as a Nimrod before the Lord. So that you read in the book of Genesis 10. So the black people was risen to power. So they were very, very, very powerful. That's what they call this black supremacy. And soon after that, if you go to around those countries of Egypt, not Egypt, but Sudan, you'll find those pyramid, they start actually, the pyramids start in Sudan, the Kush, areas. And then after that, the Kushite went down, and then Egypt took over. Egypt, it was raised to power. That's why you see the Israelites went down to Egypt to be slaves, because of they were very powerful, very active people, doing different things. And even we read in the book of Psalm, because Ham, the father for all black people, so he gave birth to Cush and Egypt, Misraim, they call, and then there was Libya and Canaan. But we read in the book of Psalms, it's very important. You can take your pen and the paper, write it down. It is very, very important for black history. You see, we are reading about when the Israelites came out, you see, and God smote, smote all God killed actually all the firstborn of Egypt, the chief of the strength, in the tabernacle of Ham. God is talking here, and Psalm 78:51. So God says that the chief of the strength in the tabernacle of Ham, which means Egypt. Egypt was the chief, of their strength, in the tabernacle of Ham. Okay, yeah. He's talking about the tabernacle of Ham means that the house of Ham. So the house of Ham is composed to Cush, the Cushite and the Egyptian and the Libyan and how do you call it, the Canaanite. So, but Egypt was the head, which means the chief, of all those tribes. So, which means he was the leader. That's very important. He was the leader. So that's why he was very, very powerful, very supreme, very intelligent people. Powerful. So God organized also the Israelites, Jacob and his son, to go there to learn. And why also, how you call that man? Moses, God did all to all the best to send Moses to be raised in the royal family so he can learn from Egyptian, how to write, how to read, everything. So he was preparing to be the leader for Israel, you see. But I'm going to talk here about, the black supremacy. Okay, we know about it. So the black people went all over the world also to conquer and to reign, to be, so they were all above. They were above. We read in the book of Ezekiel, talking about Egypt, because you cannot understand the African history unless you see it in the light of ancient Egypt, not these Egypt with Arab people living, that the old Egypt, the black people. So God is talking here, but you see this, God here is talking the time now, the Egypt is coming down because he was bringing down the power, the ruling power of black people. So you read here in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 31, verse 18. You can write it down. To whom are you, like in the glory? That's he's talking about Egypt. Not only Egypt. What is God speak about Egypt? So he's applying to every black people, every kingdom that were in those days. Because we read already that in the book of Psalms, Egypt was the chief, the leader in a tabernacle, which means in a house of Ham, with that Psalm 78:51. So being the leader, which means everything God was talking about Egypt, apply to the entire, to the whole black people. But here God is talking about Egypt. You see, how you read again? So in the verse, Ezekiel 31, verse 18, to whom are you, like in the glory and in the greatness among the tree of Eden. God is talking, because Egypt was in Eden, which means when you are in the Garden of Eden, which means God is dealing with you. So which means that's why he said it is written here that, I'm repeating again, to whom, so God is saying to Egyptian, or to Pharaoh actually, the king, to whom, are you, like, in the glory and in greatness among the tree of Eden, the Garden of Eden. So that's Ezekiel 31, verse 18. So that God is talking. And what to read again? And you shall be brought down with the tree of Eden, Eden, and unto the nether part of the earth. You shall be lie with in the midst of the uncircumcised, with them that be slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his multitude, say the Lord. So you can read it yourself, from Ezekiel 31 verse 18. So God is talking here how great, how powerful, and the glory, the black people was having, and the greatness, all around the world. But in spite of that, God would bring them down. That was the God talking about the fall, of the rise and the fall of black people. Okay? So we read also, there is many verses, that speak about the greatness of black people. If you go to 19, if you go to 19, chapter 19, Isaiah 19. Let's see. Isaiah 19. If you go to Isaiah 19, you will see that surely the prince, God is talking about the Egyptians. They were very wise, very intelligent people, and leading the whole African kingdoms. So, but because the time came that, that for the judgment, so God must judge them. He must judge Egypt because of all the things they were doing, living in a righteous way, And then it says here that the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the ministry, thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek, they shall seek, that is the Egyptian, they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, not the charmers though, which means the sorcerers, and to them that have a familiar spirit, and to the wizard, So the Egyptians, they will seek now to the charmers, to idols, and to those who have a familiar spirit, and to the wizard, and the Egyptian will I give over to the hand of a cruel lord. Okay, here he's talking about the King Nebuchadnezzar, because the time came when King Nebuchadnezzar, it was ruling now, so all the Egyptians, they couldn't do anything anymore. So Nebuchadnezzar took over. And it says here somewhere in 19, chapter 19, that, you see, it's very important. So the prince of Zoan become full. That the prince of North are deceived. They have also seduced Egypt, even they that are the stay of the tribe thereof. You know. So the Lord have mingled. You see, it's not the Egyptian themselves who fell down, but it's God. He's talking about the punishment, how he brought them down. Actually, what that was a promise that they will be brought down to hell, and then the Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to hate in every work. As a drunken man, stagger in his vomit. So is Egypt now, because when you speak about Egypt, that the ruler, the powerful, not the one who was leading the whole African nations. So they rise, first man was Nimrod, to rise in power, and then Egypt took over, so he became the ruler of the whole African countries. So, but now according to the sinful nature, because sinful nature, that's what they were doing. What they were doing, it was, not right in the eyes of God. So we read in the book of Leviticus, that Leviticus 18. So it's telling you what the black people were doing, in those days. So, because God said the nakedness of their father's wife should you not uncover. There is a lot of things, God. So the mother, sisters, for she's the mother, near to king's woman, a woman, yes. Now you should not uncover the nakedness of their father's brothers. So there is some, you can take a pen and write it down yourself, 18, Leviticus 18, and, you start from number 1, verse 1 to a little bit far. So there is a lot of things, regulation that God gave to the Israelites. So he warned them not to do the same thing, as those Egyptian and the house of Ham was doing. Neither, he said, neither should you take a wife to a sister to vex, her and to uncover her nakedness. So it means they was lying down with doing many immoral things, so and so. So God warned the Israelites, not to do the very same thing. Because we read here in verse 24, for in all this the nation are defiled, which are cast out before you, and which nation God cast out? That was the Canaanite. Before the Israelites take over the land of the Canaanite land, what was Israel today. You see? Because it says here that are cast out before you, and the land, that's verse 24 to 25, and the land is defiled, therefore I do visit the iniquity. I do visit what? The iniquity, upon it. And the land itself vomit out inhabitants. The Bible says that because the land becomes sinful, so that land vomit the people. So the people, which means they must go out of that land, But God didn't just let them go out. He asked them to kill. They must be killed because of the sinful nature. You see? So, and you should therefore keep my statute, my judgment, and shall not commit any of this abomination, neither any of your own nation, no stranger that sojourning among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. You see, that the land spew not you out also. He's warning them that the land mustn't spew them out also, just the way the land spew those Canaanites. And when you defile it, and it spew out to the nation that were before you, for wherefore shall commit any of these abominations, even the soul that commit them shall be cut off, from among the people. You see, this kind of, you can read it yourself carefully. That Leviticus 18, the sin, the abomination which black people were doing. So according to those abominations, so that was the cause, the judgment of God, so to bring the black people supremacy down, So as we read already in the book of Ezekiel, so which means because Egypt as a leader of African people, so they were, God gave a judgment that they would go down to hell, So that in the Ezekiel, you can book, if you read carefully, the book of Ezekiel 31, because it's a judgment of Pharaoh and his people, because the Bible says that we read even in Ezekiel 30 verse 4, verse 4, that the sword, shall come upon Egypt. The great pain shall be in Ethiopia. He's talking about Egypt and Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is the same people, the black people. When the slaves, shall fall in Egypt, and they shall take away multitude and a foundation. You understand that? This is very important. And her foundation shall be broken down. Ethiopia and Libya and Lydia and Libya and Lydia, Lydia is next to Libya, and all the migrant people and the men of the land that is in the league shall fall with them by the sword. You say that Ezekiel 30 and but the oracle of Egypt, is found more here in Ezekiel 30, chapter 30 and 31 until 32. So he's talking about Egypt. How they were in the Garden of Eden. God looking after the whole black people until the fall of for black people, supremacy. And then from that time, the king Nebuchadnezzar took over, because the Bible says that God will break the arm of Pharaoh, and then we left up the hand of give strength to the hand of King Nebuchadnezzar. But so that was the fall, the rise and the fall. As you say, Nimrod first, it was he went all over to conquer, And then the Egyptians took over, and then God proclaimed the judgment to black people. So that black supremacy came down until today, you know. So nothing happened by man, but everything is from God. So if we don't live according to God's laws and the regulation, of course, because those God's laws are forever, you know. But thank you for listening, and until next time, bye-bye.